children, what is it that you love most about writing for children that's kept you with it now almost 30 years?
Well, when I visit schools, it is so cool to be telling a part of the story, and you just see the kids kind of like rising up just to be right with you in that story. I love that. That's amazing. And so sharing stories with kids is wonderful. But also just coming up with ideas. If I could sit in this chair all day long and just come up with ideas for stories, that would be great. I think that is so fun. I love coming up with story ideas. I mean, I like writing them too, but it's a lot more fun just to come up with the idea.
Oh, sure. writing this one's work. The idea is exciting and new.
Story, yeah.
And do you come up with the ideas sitting there in your chair, or do they come to you when you're in the shower, while you're out walking, doing yard work?
Oh, I think all of them. But a lot of times you maybe have a crust of an idea, but it doesn't really develop until you start writing and you think, well, just write this, and no, let's change that. So just part of the creating process comes through trial and error to see what works and what doesn't work. And you start with this one idea and it morphs into something totally different. I did this, take my sweater off here. I did this idea for a story that I sent to my agent, and she read it and she came up with a totally unique outlook on what I had written. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that, but I like it. So sometimes, getting some feedback from somebody else can help you kind of adjust your idea to make it better.
Yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately, I suppose that happens to me all the time, where I think I've got a brilliant idea, and then I'll tell it to one of my critique partners, somebody I trust, and they say, "Oh, that sounds just like this book." And then I'll go and I'll read that book, and yeah, sure does. Okay, well, let's see if we can put a Rob can't spin on this, make it an original story.
That happens a lot, I think, unfortunately, because, well, they say every story's been told.
Theoretically.
Yeah. So how do we make it different? That's the trick, and unique and fun and exciting. And I know Scholastic puts out a survey every year of the types of books that kids like, and it's always adventure and funny books. So if you can have a funny adventure book, woo!
You're set. There you go.
So I always strive for books that hopefully kids will want to read, even the most reluctant readers. As a matter of fact, my logo says books for reluctant readers, because I've always had a soft spot in my heart for that kid who came into my library and just did not want to get a book. And I think there is a book for every kid. And it doesn't matter if it's a book that I've written or a book that you've written, a book that somebody else has written. There is a book for that kid. We just have to find the right book and match them up. So that's why we need all different kinds of books.
How do you try to entice the reluctant reader and win them over?
Well, of course, getting some high concept thing like a mermaid will bring some kids will just read it because it's a mermaid. So that's a draw. Or maybe having a creature like a shark. Putting, some kids will be drawn in because of creatures. A dog, you said, horse, you've got those high concept ideas, and maybe put a twist with them to draw them in. But once they open the page, the book, and the page is too hard for them, or it's just not exciting to them, then that's not going to work. So you have to have the action on every page of a kid's book, I think.
And how do you monitor your language to make sure that you're staying age appropriate throughout?
Well, Rob, I believe I told you that I'm on a third grade level here.
That's true. If you're always at a third grade level, I guess you're covered. That's not true. You use the word juxtaposition this very conversation.
I even said it right. But if you use Word, you can just quickly check your spelling, and it'll tell you your word level. And so you can go through your story and see if it's your word level is too high, your grade level is too high. You can look for words that maybe you can have a simpler word, or if there are two words, one's harder and one's easier, I'm going to choose the easier one. just because that's how I roll. And when you write for second, third, and maybe fourth graders, you want to use the word that gets it across as simply and as succinctly as possible.
So when you're coming up with an idea, I have to believe 160 books in that your idea is going to be better tested just right off the bat than an idea that I or somebody that's earlier in their career might have. What are some common things that you can test against your idea that would rule that out and say, no, I've gone down that road before. That idea is going to be a loser. Let me focus on either turning that into something better. How do you know a good idea when you see one?
Well, I guess if I'm excited about it, that makes it huge. And then I'll share it maybe with my critique group, and if they're like, oh, or that's been done, or you can also, just go onto Amazon and type in whatever it is you're thinking about and see if there is a book like that. And if there is a book like that and it was done 50 years ago, you have to say, well, maybe it's time for a new one, or maybe there's a reason it hasn't been done in 50 years. Maybe it's not that good of an idea. I do look on Amazon to see, if there's books in that area that I'm thinking about, if it's something I really want to pursue.